G'day to all. The brief was to consider farmer skepticism to climate change, and my brief was to consider the Australian farmer himself. So what better way than to, than to ask the farmers themselves. What you'll see is 3 grain farmers, and also I've got the opinion of an elders agronomist who works in the horticultural industry as well, and just their thoughts and opinions. It's very interesting. So here they are. When they conclude, I'll come back and just give you some additional comments from there. Thank you.
Yep, no, that's no worries at all. All right, so climate change. Do you believe in climate change?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you see the seasons are changing from year to year?
I believe it's a cycle on the chart. I think we are changing, but I do believe it's a cycle.
Are you changing the way you're farming in the last 30 years from what your dad does?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Joe, do you believe in climate change?
Oh, I do believe the climate is changing, but whether it's so much man-made, I'm not quite sure about that.
Yep. And do you think the seasons are changing from 30 years ago?
I don't know whether my memory goes back that far, but...
20, 25?
Yeah, well, yes, things have certainly changed, but things can go around in a big circle as well, too.
And you have changed the way you're farming than what your dad used to?
Oh, for sure, yes.
Earlier sowing?
Yes, we're probably earlier sowing and, obviously direct milling.
Great, thank you.
So I've got Ian, another dry land farmer here with me. Ian, do you believe in climate change?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Certainly do.
Yep. And what things are you noticing out on your farm from, say, 30 years ago?
Can't recall.
Seasonality?
30 years ago, because I was only about 5 at the time.
You're changing the way you're farming from what your dad practices as well?
Absolutely.
Yep. And what sort of things are you doing?
Well, we're direct drilling now. We've actually had to go back to a little bit of working, but not much. But for the last 20 years, we've been using minimum till, and then went to direct drill about 14 years ago.
Yep. And you're seeing much difference in the seasons, in the rainfall and the temperature and those sort of things varying in the last 10 to 15?
Absolutely. Certainly last decade was an incredible difference to the previous couple. This decade, so far there seems to be sort of more normalcy with regards to the way weather patterns used to be in terms of rainfall and wind. Certainly last decade I couldn't believe you just about go out on any day and spray for lack of wind.
Yep.
This year is typical of what it used to be 15, 20 years ago, where you just about can't spray because there's wind all the time.
Yep. Yeah, good point. No one's raised the wind before. They talk about the heat events and perhaps the heavier rains, but not the wind events. So that's interesting. So because that has a drying and evaporation point in your paddocks. So
no, it certainly does. But we're having days again where a lot of the days covered by cloud and heavy during the morning, fogs, very few frosts.
Yep.
Which I guess has a lot to do with the warmer nights. Even though, well, we're not even having the highs come over.
Yeah.
Last decade we had a lot of highs come over and block the lows. The lows wouldn't come up over us, we didn't get the rain. Whereas for the last 4 or 5 years, that hasn't been the case. Those highs have been pushed out of the way and the lows have been able to develop and give us some rain.
No worries. Great. Thanks for your contribution.
You're welcome.
I have here Jeremy, a horticulturalist agronomist, and what are you seeing out there in regard to climate change and what are the farmers seeing?
So Ross, yes, we're very definitely seeing more extreme weather events. However, I just wonder if the question, we've been having ice ages and superheating for millions and millions of years. I just wonder where we are in the cycle of that. Global warming, yes, it may be contributing to it, it may be speeding it up, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all.
Great. What are your clients seeing and what are they saying to you? Are they noticing seasonal differences?
More so the extreme weather events, however, they can recall, a lot of them are career farmers and can recall these sort of events.
Yeah.
So.
And when you say severe events, a lot of heat, a lot of rain, a lot of wind, those hail. Yep.
Hail, and then the extremes of heat, the extremes of wet springs or wet harvest times, and everything seems.
So whether it's climate change, whether it's seasonality, that's where the
the board is out
I
at the
certainly
moment.
think it's climate change that's doing it, but it's speeding it up. It's not the whole reason.
No worries. Thanks, Jez.
Thanks, Ross.
Okay, as you can see from the interviews, there's some differing and varying opinions, but generally it's agreed that there is climate change and global warming. Certainly seasonality, things are changing, and dramatic events, heavier rains, frosts, hail, those sort of events, heat events, so they're there. It was very interesting. When the camera stopped, the conversations continued, and they're very passionate about climate change, and they really do understand what's changing. One farmer actually commented on that he's living climate change and global warming on a daily basis. He's out in the paddocks and seeing this from there. So, yeah, look, I think farmers do understand what's changing, and they're adapting and making innovations as they go along. Thank you.